Hey, it's Sean and welcome to my travel channel. Today we are in Mount Rainier National Park. We're going to explore the visitor center as well as some of the top sites and hit a trail or two. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go explore. Right behind me, you can see the Nisqually Glacier, which there are 26 named glaciers in Rainier. Now, this particular glacier has advanced and it's also rescinded over time. It's possible that it may advance again, but only time will tell. But we're gonna go see Rainier on our next viewpoint. Behind me, you have Rainier, and just like we mentioned before, there's a storm front with a lot of clouds covering the top of the peak. So for the moment, this is the view that we got, but I think you can obviously see all the snow that it got, as well as the glaciers up there. I mean, it just reminds me, not that I'm making a comparison, but a little bit of Everest and some of the Himalaya mountains. We're driving to Paradise, which has a visitor center, as well as a general parking lot that we can check in with a ranger. Now, we came here in July, which is normally their summer month, but they've had an unprecedented amount of snow and harsh winter conditions that the mountain is still covered with snow. Most of the places are still open, but there's a lot of trails that are still not accessible. So we want to check in with the ranger and see what's open, what's not open, what we can do. But for now, we're just kind of taking in the sights as we drive along. We just passed Christine Falls, which was just spectacular. But let's take a look at the mountainside as well. But we'll be here for a few days, so have no fear. We're gonna definitely be able to do some of the trails. I mean, the park is humongous. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. One of the main points in Mount Rainier is Paradise Visitor Center and lodging and dining, which is where we are located right now. We asked the ranger for a couple suggestions, and given all the snow that they had, she recommended to do part of the Skyline trail. A lot of the trail is still not accessible due to the heavy snow that they've had and the harsh winter. So we're going to attempt to do that. There's still snow on the ground, but she said a lot of people have traveled along the path, so the trail itself is very compact, so the part that we're doing should be doable. And then after that, we may do another trail, but right now we're going to just enjoy lunch, and then we'll head out on the trail. So we'll see you out there.
This is a true alpine slide, right? This is where the bobsled came from.
Keep in mind, this is July. I'd like to emphasize that as we start on our trail. As we continue along Skyline, views are definitely amazing. However, very, very slippery. It's hiking through slush. Icy, not so much, but definitely slush. We saw some really cool wildlife as well. We saw some grouse that we're trying to mate, as well. I believe it's a varmint family of varmints, which was interesting. But I can see a couple waterfalls in the distance and this nice view, so let's turn around and take a look. So this little patch is theoretically what everything else should be with the trail. But this is what we're hiking through. Due to the heavy snow, we don't really have any mountain flowers yet, but probably in 2 weeks, all that snow there should be covered in vegetation and lovely mountain flowers. But we're just looking at snow for the moment. Let's continue on the trail. I'm going to touch this water here just to get an idea of how cold it is. Oh, I would put it in somewhere in the category of freezing to Antarctica freezing cold. Just to quantify it. But you know what? It would probably feel great if it was really hot, but unfortunately it's like 50 some degrees, so very, very cold. But we're gonna try to get up to that point so we can see a glacier. So let's get up there then and hike to the top. Huzzah!
Oh, we found a new friend.
Hey.
Oh, he didn't like you. Bye.
Great news. We're gonna be back on snow. Talking about earlier. Huh?
Marmot.
Marmot. Sorry, marmot. Marmot. They rhyme. They're close. It looks like a giant groundhog to me. And I think this is the chubby one she was talking about earlier. The ranger. And you know what's crazy? The ranger told us they hibernate 8 months out of the year. So he must be like super hungry. Glacier Vista is just shy of 6,500 feet, and it's a little hard to see the tip of the mountain, but trust me, it's there in the clouds. And it was a little tough getting up the mountain with the snow, but totally worth it. We're going to go to Sunrise and Longmire in the next couple days to try to get some better views of the mountain and the surrounding area. So stay tuned for that. This is our second day in the park, and we're on our way to Sunrise, which is one of the big lodges, stations in the park. And behind me, on our way there, we stopped at Fryingpan Creek, which just looks absolutely stunning. I mean, you could just sit here and just relax as you watch the river. I mean, we also did see people hiking as well. but just absolutely stunning. Our game plan for today is to continue up to Sunrise, which is the highest point as far as a lodge in the mountain, and that you can get by driving. Right now, I mean, we're pretty fortunate since it's a little sunny. Earlier was raining, so weather permitting, maybe we'll do a hike, but we'll see how things progress. But let's continue on our way up the mountain. Right before you get to Sunrise Lodge, you have Sunrise Point, which has a beautiful panoramic view. Normally on a clear day, you'd be able to see a lot of other mountains, including Governor's Ridge and Mount Adams, and some of them are still considered volcanic as well. But as you can tell, it's a little hard to see. But you have a beautiful view of the river as well, which is just absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to continue up to the lodge, which is even higher than this point. We're at 6,100 feet in elevation. So it's hard to believe they built lodge even higher than that. But let's continue on our way. It's a little rude, don't you think?
Oh, it's bad.
Let me see. Come on. Oof. It's hard with the pole. We made it to Sunrise Lodge. Unfortunately, it's closed, and shocking enough, I know you're surprised just as much as I am. Most of the trails are closed because of snow. Oh my goodness, did not see that coming. But we're going to try another trail down the mountain, as long as someone decides to be a little mature with the snowballs, called Glacier Trail. So let's head down the mountain and try that out. We are on the Glacier Basin Trail, which was recommended to us from the ranger at Sunrise, which is a little bit below the mountain. So far, no snow, which is a good thing on the trail. However, we've learned that you have to be flexible. Like all the trails at Sunrise, completely covered with snow. You would need like mountain climbing equipment to even do a lot of those trails. So decided to come down here. I think it's nice. It's like right along the river, which is White River, and looks very scenic. So far, we're doing well on the wildlife site so far. Yeah, we saw some elk earlier, saw marmots, we saw chickmunk, and then the grouse, mating grouse, the little puffy things. So, all right, let's continue on the trail. We hiked with the deer, and we even got to see a beautiful waterfall behind me. And we're just amazed at some of the views that you can see of the mountains. But let's see what else this trail has to offer. We made it. And behind me you can see Emmons Glacier, a little bit there, also a mine shaft. But probably one of the biggest highlights was seeing the natural pond, which is seasonal, only like after winter and the water is draining. But we're gonna head back down and check in at our next point of interest. Oh, one last thing. You could see Mount Rainier if it wasn't as foggy.
So we're on Mount Rainier.
Well, we are on Mount Rainier, but you can't see the tip. Columbia Crest.
The peak.
The peak.
The summit.
Summit.
Not the dip.
Yes. All right, let's head down the mountain. On our third day here at Rainier, we wanted to check out the Longmire area, which has an inn, general store, as well as a little museum. I think my favorite part was seeing the giant wooden structure, not wooden structure, but it's like a cut log or whatever. It shows the rings of the tree, like when it was first like growing, and I think it started growing in about 1200, and then they cut it down in 1963. So a lot of these trees are very, very old. So it's very impressive. But we're going to continue on our journey, and next stop will be Seattle. Nisqually? Okay. We made it to Glacier Point to see what?
Glacier Vista.
Glacier. All right. We made it to Glacier Vista, and right behind me we have Nisqually Glacier. We hiked. We hiked for. We hiked for. I don't know why it's not happening.